To share his thoughts about the future of Nigeria's democracy is a public affairs analyst, Ejike Okpa. Good to have you join us, Ejike Okpa.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, we always speak over Zoom, so it's good to have you here in the studio.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, before we even get into the future of Nigeria's democracy, let's highlight some of whether you think that since 1999, this democracy of ours has brought us stability and growth as expected.
Well, 22 years, is it long enough time to have done anything? Yes. Is it short a time to say we need more time? Yes. But the thing is, this is not the first time. You remember, after the war, we had 79 to 83, and then we had a series of military government. So Nigerians are used to voting for people in office. What matters is the type of people they vote into office, and then the type of constitution that gives them the right to do what they do. I think the Nigerian constitution is top-heavy. Top-heavy in the sense that the president has a lot of power, and then those powers devolve to the state governors. The state governors are even more powerful than the president. So in order for democracy to work in Nigeria, Nigeria has to go back to where, they say every politics is local. It has to come from the people. It has to be bottom heavy, i.e. the people have to be the ones controlling what the governors do, what the president do, what the elected officials do. Right now, there are only 37 people important in Nigeria, and who are those 37? The governors and one president. Has any gain been made? Yes. We haven't had any coup, or Nigeria has had any coup. However, look at the economic situation. Look at the unemployment. The Naira has lost value. I mean, in 1999, if you had 1 million Naira, you had an equivalent of almost $12,000. 22 years down, you had 1 million Naira is about $2,400. So how, using just that singular example, how can anybody say democracy is working for Nigeria? The Naira by now should have been appreciated in value, because that will give Nigerians more purchasing power and then afford them the ability to do more things. But now the Naira is losing value.
But we're fundamentally, because we are seeing this, we're seeing agitations all over the country. It's not just in one part of the country, it's everywhere. People feel like, we have been marginalized. People feel like they have been left out. Where fundamentally do you think that these agitations are coming from? Because you've talked about the fact that 37 people are more powerful than the others in the country. You've
Yes.
also talked about economic issues. So where are these agitations
agitation is a human thing. When people are unhappy, food, shelter, and clothing. Most people are not able to provide that for themselves or their family. So what do you expect them to do? They're going to be angry. So every little opportunity they have, they're going to get on the street, and they're going to see everybody as being the reason why their situation is what it is. And so you go back to the 37 people in Nigeria, and whomever else is elected or appointed. They're the ones responsible for what is going on in this country. And Nigerians are rightly justified to go out and be angry. Look at the unemployment. If you graduate college, most Nigerians that graduate college, in 10 years after graduation, a lot of them have not found any gainful employment. And sometimes when they find employment in default careers. And that's why Nigeria don't have the skills. So you studied accounting, and then you end up doing something that has nothing to do with accounting. Or you're an engineer, you end up doing something that has nothing to do. In the first 5 years. In the first 5 years you leave college, you're supposed to have been employed in that particular field. And then maybe down the road you have a career change. But who is employing anybody in Nigeria? What are the viable companies? Apart from Lagos, Abuja, maybe Port Harcourt, and few others, what are the other states doing? And so it goes back to the fundamental issues about the leadership. The leadership is personalized. The leadership is all about what they can do for themselves and whomever is around them. And the whole bulk of it is on the governors. The governors are very, very responsible.
So these agitations have now spiraled into rallies and protests. We saw that with the NSAS protest. We also saw the June 12 protest. And for us to, it looks like people feel like, look, their voices are not being held, and so until they are heard, they are going to continue to, speak out through protest. So what should be done? People have called for national summit. People have called for different conferences to be held. What should we be doing? Because right now we're having the constitution review process. Would that also work?
I wish I had brought the American Constitution. It's smaller than the hymn book. And then the Nigerian Constitution, you could see how it's not about the Constitution, it's the attitude to the words of the Constitution. The Nigerian public officials have this mentality that once I'm in there, it is my thing. It's what am I going to do for the time I'm there. It's not about the people. And then we don't have issue elections. By now, the state should have been doing issue elections. How do you want to be governed in your own state? How do you want the governor to be? The government house is more powerful than any of the ministries in that particular state because everything comes from the governor. So we have to devolve that power. You have to let go. And then the House of Assemblies in all the states are very weak. I mean, how many of them in most houses? I don't think there's any House of Assembly in the country that has 35 members. It's usually 20-something. So let's take, for instance, a governor can afford to bribe everybody a member for $10 million or 20. Say, you guys don't do anything. And they're free to go, and the governor will do whatever. So those are the things, because the House of Assembly is supposed to be looking at laws in their particular state that is not in conflict with the federal law in order for something to work. But if the governors are in charge of the money, the budget, they should limit how much money the governor should get. The State of Assembly said, okay, if the budget of a state is $10 million, the governor should not have more than 10 million, 10% to run the entire government house. So the rest of the money goes back into the functions of other departments. But right now, the governor is in charge. So that's where we got to go in. Nigeria, I don't live here, but I happen to have been born here.
Financial autonomy also plays a role here.
Yes, limit how much money the governor shouldn't be awarded.
I'm afraid we have to leave it there. I mean, there is so much to talk about when it comes to Nigeria and our democracy. But I hope we can have you once again to talk about this. Public affairs analyst Ejike Okpa, thanks for
Thank you for having me.
Great to have you.